Karen called the cops on me the same morning she broke into my house, and I'll be honest, it was almost funny the way she did it. Just imagine it, you come around the corner into your own living room and there's this woman, hair perfectly shellacked, sunglasses still on inside, standing in your house, clutching your TV remote like she's some detective dialing 911 and reporting you for trespassing. In your own home. Yeah, that actually happened. And let me tell you, if you've never seen HOA logic at work, that's about as twisted as it gets. Now, before all that, I thought I'd seen the worst of Karen. I was wrong. Let me back up a sec. My wife and I, we'd only moved into that brick house about 6 months earlier. Quiet street, good trees, one of those neighborhoods where the HOA has an iron grip, except lucky for us, our property was grandfathered out. Didn't matter to Karen, though. From the day we unloaded our first box, she strutted up and down the cul-de-sac like she owned it, clipboard always in hand, barking orders and handing out guidelines like she was running for sheriff of some medieval village. The real HOA president lived a couple streets over, but everyone knew Karen was the string puller. First time she knocked on my door, it was about my garage. She tapped on the paint and sniffed, "Taupe is the neighborhood standard. That gray isn't approved." I explained as polite as I could manage that we weren't technically in the HOA. She peered over her sunglasses and hit me with, "Well, you live here. You follow the rules. That's how community works." I just smiled and shut the door. Should have ended there, but women like Karen don't walk away from a fight, they escalate. Over the next months, she left anonymous flyers on my mailbox about curb appeal, parked her Lexus half across my driveway, snapped photos of me dragging groceries because the trash bins were visible. I let most of it roll off. My wife said I had the patience of a saint, but honestly, I kind of enjoyed watching Karen dig herself deeper. She thought she was winning these little skirmishes. I was just waiting her out. But that break-in, that was her opening shot in a war she wasn't ready to finish. It was a Saturday, I remember, because I was home alone, elbows deep in a busted pipe under the sink. I heard the front door creak open. At first I figured my wife was home early, but then came the clack of heels on hardwood, sharp, loud, all attitude. My wife wears combat boots, not heels. Next thing I know, there's Karen standing smack in my living room, sunglasses, and all remote in one hand, phone in the other, looking at me like I'm the one who doesn't belong. "You broke into my house," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "It wasn't locked." She shot back like that made it okay. "Your blinds are mismatched. You're bringing down property values." I damn near bit my tongue to keep from laughing. "So you're trespassing because of blinds, because of principle," she corrected, dialing 911 right in front of me. I thought she was bluffing, but nope. She pressed call and gave my address. "There's a man in this house who refuses to leave." "Yes, he's aggressive. I feel unsafe." Me standing there with a pipe wrench because I'd been fixing the kitchen sink. You might wonder why I didn't just throw her out then and there. Truth is, I wanted witnesses. If she wanted the cops, let them come. Let them see the circus. Karen, though, she mistook my calm for fear. She sat herself on my couch, crossed her legs, and said, "This is why HOAs exist. You slip through a legal loophole, but I keep order around here. Everyone listens to me." It was like watching a cartoon villain give her big speech before the lights go out. While we waited for the cops, she started poking around my living room, picking up family photos. She pointed to a picture of my wife in uniform. "What's she, a teacher?" "Something like that," I said. She didn't have a clue what was coming. When the squad car finally rolled up, Karen smoothed her blouse and strutted to the door like she'd been waiting for her big moment. The officers barely had time to step inside before Karen launched into her act. "Officers, thank goodness this man broke into the house, threatened me." I'm terrified. He's got tools. I didn't say a word. Just stood there watching. The cops looked at me, then at her. One finally asked, "Sir, do you live here?" "Yes," I said, plain as day. Karen barked a laugh, but when I handed over my ID and the cop checked it, the air changed. "Everything checks out," he said. Karen's face twitched. She tried to pivot. He was going to attack me with a wrench. "Ma'am, why are you in his house?" "It wasn't locked." she insisted, her voice rising. One cop took notes. The other asked her to step outside. She refused, planted herself in my foyer, arms crossed. That's when I heard boots on the floor, my wife home early, still in uniform. She stepped into the room every inch the authority Karen had been pretending to be. I wish I had a picture of Karen's face just then. Her eyes bugged. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish. The officers straightened up, recognizing my wife instantly. Karen tried to recover. "This is a misunderstanding. I'm just looking out for the neighborhood," she babbled. My wife just raised an eyebrow. "So you called 911 on your neighbor and accused him of trespassing in his own house," Karen stammered, reaching for any excuse, but the room was ice cold. The officers looked at her like she'd grown another head. It got worse when my wife produced her badge and handed her ID to the officer. Karen's voice went all wobbly. "I'm just a woman trying to keep my community safe. Is that a crime now?" But nobody was buying it. "Ma'am, you made a false report and you're trespassing. Either you come outside with us calmly or we escalate." Karen hesitated, but self-preservation finally won. She went outside, muttering about corruption and conspiracies the whole way. When the door shut, my wife just shook her head and said, "Well, that was an entrance." We both burst out laughing. "You'd think that would be the end, right?" Nope. Not even close. While the cops were talking to her outside, Karen whipped out her phone and started live streaming to the HOA Facebook group, calling it injustice, ranting about intimidation, trying to spin herself as a martyr. The neighborhood was out in force, some siding with her, some just entertained. I could see the wheels turning. Karen wasn't defeated, she was just gearing up for round two. Next morning, my phone blew up with messages from neighbors, links to her live stream, screenshots of her flyers. She was going full propaganda. Said I'd threatened her with a wrench, barricaded myself in a foreclosed house, faked a marriage to a police officer. Some neighbors believed her, most just rolled their eyes. My wife said her department had seen it all before. Karen's antics wouldn't get a second thought. Still, the HOA board came knocking, 3 of them in pastel polos, talking about restoring harmony. I told them straight, Karen broke into my house, called the cops, and live streamed the whole thing. "And you're here to mediate." They squirmed and invited me to an emergency board meeting. That night, the community center was packed. Karen arrived in a blazer, played the victim, told everyone she'd bravely confronted me, that I'd threatened her, that my wife was an imposter. She dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. I stood up, told the simple truth, no drama, just facts. My wife backed me up, badge and all. The board chair tried to smooth things over, but the cracks were showing. Karen stormed out, muttering about vendettas. But Karen's campaign didn't stop. Next morning, I found flyers plastered everywhere, "Protect our community from dangerous outsiders," with a grainy still of me holding my wrench, circled in red. She wanted the whole neighborhood to turn against me. My trash cans were dumped, garbage smeared across the driveway. Karen toasted me from her lawn chair. Neighbors started whispering, some nervous, some supportive. My buddy Frank stopped by, told me Karen was pushing for new HOA rules so they could fine me even though I wasn't technically in the HOA. She organized door-to-door petitioners, wearing matching shirts, pushing community standards. I just shook my head. "She'll burn herself out," I told my wife. That night, I caught Karen and 2 of her friends hammering a big unsafe property banner into my front lawn. Defamation. I warned her, but she sneered, "You won't sue, you have no reputation." The banner disappeared overnight, not by my hand, but by some anonymous neighbor who scrawled enough across it in spray paint. Karen wasn't as popular as she thought. Then someone posted a video compilation to the HOA group, Karen yelling at delivery drivers, scolding kids, arguing with the mail carrier. The comments exploded. Karen blamed me, of course, showed up at my door to scream. I told her, "Why would anyone need to smear you? You do it yourself." She stormed off, red-faced. The real fireworks came when the HOA scheduled a vote to try and force my house under their rules. Community hall was packed. Karen pitched a fit about anarchy, but when I spoke, I just told the truth. This isn't about rules, it's about power. The motion failed by 3 votes. The neighborhood buzzed with gossip. Karen's loss was public. But if you think she took it quietly, you don't know Karen. Next morning, my lawn was torn up by tire tracks. A stake jammed into the grass with a note, "Community enforcement." My mailbox was stuffed with glitter, Karen filming from her car as I cleaned up. Then came the real sabotage, a garden hose left blasting into my basement window, well flooding the basement. That was the last straw. My wife called it in, we installed cameras, and the next day Karen egged my wife's police cruiser. Neighbors watched my wife scrub the mess while Karen pretended to be shocked. The power went out that night, except at Karen's where her generator kept her house blazing. 10 minutes after the blackout, she posted in the HOA group, "Power is cut off to protect our community from misuse." When the power came back, a utility worker told me someone had tampered with the substation breaker. Karen wasn't just breaking rules, she was breaking laws. We decided enough was enough. But before we could act, Karen staged her grand finale. She parked her Lexus sideways in the cul-de-sac, climbed on the hood, and with a loudspeaker in hand declared the neighborhood under siege. She waved a folder full of signatures, most of them forged. It turned out demanding the HOA remove us. But from the crowd, Frank shouted, "Those signatures are fake." The whole performance fell apart. What followed was weeks of escalating madness, surveillance, anonymous letters, Karen caught on camera smashing my window with a brick. This time the police arrested her on the spot, her pearls askew, screaming about conspiracies. The HOA put out a statement blaming certain individuals, me for the tension. Even after her arrest, Karen's loyalists left chalk threats and dumped trash in my yard. The board tried again to pass mandatory compliance for adjacent properties. Frank stood up at the meeting, called it nonsense, and finally the crowd turned. And then just when things started to settle, Karen made bail and stormed back into the neighborhood, head wrapped in a scarf, sunglasses hiding her eyes, acting like nothing happened. She doubled down at the next HOA meeting, accusing me and my wife of corruption, hacking, bribery, everything but the weather. She tried to play evidence on the projector, a video of her own nephew smashing her car window, trying to pin it on me. The room turned. People started shouting, demanding she resign. For the first time, Karen faltered. The board suspended her on the spot. Walking home that night, neighbors stopped me not to glare, but to shake my hand to apologize for staying quiet. And you know, as satisfying as it was to see Karen dethroned, it left me wondering, how many neighborhoods out there are just one unchecked Karen away from chaos? Do you think HOAs are about order? Or are they just playgrounds for people who crave power? Drop a comment and tell me, where's the line between community and control? And if you've ever had a Karen try to run your life, I want to hear about it. Because out here, the real battle isn't about blinds or bins. It's about who really gets to call this place home.